I buy about 98% of my plants on Etsy. I know. The other 2% are usually in plant trades, or when I do go to the big box store. I don't really shop in stores a lot. I do a lot of online shopping. And over time, I've learned how to shop on Etsy for a good plant buying experience. I'm not just a customer, I am a longtime Etsy seller. So I've seen both sides. I don't sell plants, I sell crafty things. So I'm sharing today what I do to have a good plant buying experience. When I shop for plants on Etsy, I usually shop one of three ways. I have a specific plant in mind, or I check my favorite shops, or sometimes someone recommends a shop and I do a bit of a research on the shop before I buy. If I'm buying something specific, I don't rush it.
Although, I can't say that.
If I'm buying something specific, I would hit the buy button before I look around, but that actually means that I've been looking around for a while. Because, for instance, the Begonia polensis was a plant I've looked for quite a while. When I was alerted on Etsy that this plant was available and it was reasonable, I didn't hesitate. I clicked the buy button without knowing the shop. I did look at the about section to read up about the shop. That specific shop said if our temperatures dropped below 30, they would not ship the plant and just refund my money. So I knew that if I were to buy that plant right now, where negative temperatures, that shop would not sell me that plant. So these are the things you have to look for when you're looking on Etsy for a plant. Some of the policies that the shops have, most of them are, if they're legitimate, they would have really good policies like that one. If I see a plant, I do sit with it. I compare that plant to other shops and see what other people have said. So when I see a shop that I like, what I look for in the shop before I buy, I look to make sure they are a US seller. I don't usually buy plants from overseas. The cost of everything else other than the plant is a little bit outside of my price range, usually always. So I do make sure it's a US seller, and I do make sure the shop is a good distance from my state. So if I shop for something from California to Indiana, I know that it's going to take a little longer and that plant is going to sit in the mail for a long time. So if I were to buy something from California right now, it would be very difficult because we're at negative numbers and that plant will sit in that box for, even if there is all the heat packs and all the things, I make sure and kind of shop a little closer to my state. I look at how the shop price all of their plants, not just one plant. I also look at reviews, not just a star review. Some of the comments, the customers have put pictures of what they've received, and that helps me quite a bit if I know that the plant in the picture looks like the plant they've received. That gives me a bit more realistic expectations when it comes to that plant. So a lot of plant shops don't ship the exact plant. They do a lot of grower's choice. In some cases, they do ship the exact plant. I have a few favorite shops that I shop at on Etsy. And in the search bar on the side, I actually type in exact plant to search, because sometimes the shop will have an exact plant available. I do that as well for different shops. I've actually gone a step further into trying to get a specific plant. I've messaged a seller and asked them to send me a picture of the plant that they're sending to me before they send it, so I am aware of what it looks like. I've done that before and the seller did not mind. They sent me a picture of the plant I was going to get, even if it had grower's choice. So one of the things that's happened to me in the past is I will order a plant from a seller and then a different plant arrives. And sometimes when a plant comes in as a starter plant in the juvenile state, you cannot tell until it gives you another leaf if that's the exact plant. I've had that situation happen where I got this one plant, but once the plant started growing up, that is not the plant I got. It's happened a few times. I want to say it's happened about 4 times since I've been plant buying, and by then it's a little too late. So you have to kind of really pay attention to know what plant looks like at a starter plant state. Sometimes I see a plant that I like that I don't know about the plant. I'll Google the plant to find out what it looks like mature, to see if it does work in my house or if I even like it mature. Because there are some plants that I have seen at a starter plant state and they're so cute and adorable. But when I look to see what they look like when they're mature, I'm like,
oh no, that is not pretty. I don't think I like it.
so that helps quite a lot before you hit the purchase button. Look at the full description, the shipping information, and shipping policies. This helps me understand what to expect and to avoid any misunderstanding later with the seller. When a shop has detailed information, it makes the whole experience so much better. I'm intentional about when I buy the plant because I live in the Midwest, I'm in Indiana, and right now we're having negative numbers, so I will not buy a plant for the rest of the month of January. It just doesn't make sense. It's going to stress out the plant quite a bit. It's going to give me stress because I'm going to have to rehab this plant, and I don't want that. I have enough plants in my collections I need to rehab. I don't need to add another one to rehab. And I've purchased plants in winter before, and it's gone really well. And most of the time, the plants that I've purchased in winter have gone well, but sometimes it hasn't. And now that I know that we're in negative numbers for the rest of the month of January, I am not buying a plant. So timing does matter. As I was editing this video, I remembered something I wanted to talk about. Now, I did kind of script this video, but for some reason, I missed this point entirely. I did write some notes. So what turns me off from a plant listing on Etsy? If the shop looks like a scam. So I have been scammed on Etsy twice in 2024. Those 2 times where I did get scammed, the shop said that they sent the plant, but I never received it. Etsy did refund my money after I filed a claim. You have to wait until the plant is actually shipped and then supposedly delivered. There's a time range. And if that plant is not delivered, you're able to file a claim and get your money back. Both times I did get my money back. However, I am now, since that time, extra careful when I shop on Etsy. So other points of what turns me off to a listing: incomplete description and incomplete policy. When you are an Etsy seller, you have to basically have some good policies. So something like shipping timeline, replacement or refund policy of a plant, and then, winter policies if there is insurance available, or if there is some kind of live plant guarantee, stuff like that. Those things are vague. I don't even bother. Okay, so the other thing, no real photos of plants. So there are some shops that I see on Etsy where they just have one single photo of the plant, and it's not even the actual plant. It's not even the mother plant. I do not buy from that shop. Sometimes I wish I'm able to block some shops from even seeing them because I do know some of these shops offhand. The next thing that turns me off is prices that don't make sense. If a plant price is too good to be true, it is too good to be true. That is a scam. When I first started the plant hobby and I was shopping on Etsy, I was seeing some of these plant prices that just feels like it's so low. And then, of course, the country it's shipping from is very far away. So I stay clear from shops that prices are just too low. It's just too good to be true. That's a red flag for me. And then when you're an Etsy seller, there's a location that you have to put. You're basically putting city and state and or country. So if a plant shop that's located in the US that does not share with me their state, I do not buy. I want transparency of location. There are some shops that just say US seller, and that's just not good enough for me. The next thing is language. If the language makes you feel like you need to rush on this plant, I don't even bother. And then poor communication from the shop when I do reach out to them, I don't even. There was that incident, if you guys remember my video of the Hoya Bella, I did buy that plant on Etsy and I thought it was a mature plant, but it wasn't. One of the things that some shops do, some shops, not all the shops, they stick cuttings in a plant pot to make it look like a full plant. And I'm actually thinking I should have repotted that plant when I got it to check it, so then I know how to treat the plant. We're gonna have to rehab the plant in a few months if it's just cuttings in there and you're treating the plant as if it's a full-grown plant. After my incident with the Hoya Bella, if I'm gonna buy a full plant, like a full adult plant on Etsy, I will now ask the shop if this is just cuttings in a pot, or are they fully rooted already? How established is this plant? I will go that far because I bought that plant right there as a full-grown mature plant. And when I did the repotting on it in December, yeah, that was not the case. And now I'm dealing with other things. And it's just, I don't want all this extra work if I'm going to buy a mature plant. So those are some of my tips that I forgot to mention yesterday. So why Etsy shopping works for me, I like that I'm able to browse on my computer versus my phone. I know there's a lot of apps out there that do plant selling. I don't shop on my phone. I shop kind of slow. That's kind of how I like to shop when I do shop on Etsy. It's hardly ever impulse buy. There's shops out there that don't have an Etsy store but a website. I have some of those in my tab as well, where I can look at plants and see if I want to buy, but I've never actually bought anything from those sites. I still just stick with Etsy because I'm also a seller, not just a customer. I see how Etsy put their customers first and I like it. I mean, I've had some negative experiences as a seller as well, and some of these experiences have made me question why I'm selling on Etsy, but as a customer, I like it. So I've not always have a good experience with when a plant arrives. I mean, there's a few times where the plant has arrived dead on arrival. I had one time where a plant arrived with mealybugs and I contacted the shop. Now the shop refunded my money. If the shop didn't refund my money, I would have filed a claim so Etsy can go correspond with that shop and get me my money back. So I definitely like Etsy for that. Sometimes your plant buying decision do depend on what you're looking for as a person, and you can say plants teaches patience even while we're shopping, so before they arrive. But overall, shopping online for plants works for me. I don't have access to a greenhouse for the unique kind of plants that I'm usually looking for. Etsy gives me access to multiple sellers on one platform that I don't have to be on my phone to even buy it. I really hope this short video was very informative to you. I would love to hear your experience online as well, or on Etsy. Good or bad, we can all learn from each other. I love to hear your story. If you want a list of the plant shops that I do favorite on Etsy, I'd be happy to put it in the comments. I bet you now that I'm done recording this video, I'm going to think of so many things that I forgot to talk about. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and always remember you are loved.